So here are 3 things that you can do when you are stuck to get yourself out of the stuckness. Let's talk about them.
Welcome to the QuitCast.
None of us like being stuck. When we're writers, one of the things that we want to do is make progress, right? So when we get stuck regularly or when we are stuck at a particular place in the book, we do not like it. And I have talked before about how important it is to alleviate that frustration by just allowing yourself to embrace the stuckness. And also, we don't just want to be stuck forever, or we don't want to be stuck for no reason. So, here are 3 things that you can do when you are stuck to get yourself out of the stuckness. Let's talk about them. Number 1, open the manuscript. A lot of us will have resistance to opening the manuscript when we are stuck, specifically because we don't know what we're going to write. But oftentimes we're thinking in such big picture terms about what we're going to write. I don't know what to say. I don't know what they would do. I don't know where we are. And we don't necessarily want to just open the manuscript because there's resistance there, right? But resistance is not always accurate. Sometimes resistance is just fear. So the first thing we always want to try when we are stuck is go to the manuscript, open it, ask yourself, can I write the next sentence? That's the only thing that I want to know. Can I write the next sentence? Because if I can't write the next sentence, then there's other things that need to happen. I need to think, I need to input, I need to talk to somebody. There's all this other stuff that could potentially happen. But because we often have resistance to just sitting down and opening the manuscript because we don't know where we are in the big picture, or we're not totally sure if we are going to do the correct thing. And so that creates resistance in us. But I just want you to try, just open the manuscript, do it right now, and ask yourself, can I write the next sentence? If you can write the next sentence, do. That's the goal of this number 1 thing. So if you can write the next sentence, do, and then keep writing until you can't write the next sentence. When you have Clifton strengths like intellection or strategic or context or analytical or futuristic, which are some of the strategic thinking strengths, right? So when you are more of a strategic thinker, it is more common that you're just going to get resistance every time you think about opening the manuscript. And in fact, if you're dominant intellection, that's one of the strengths that the most commonly says things like writing is difficult, it's hard to produce words, etc. Because especially with intellection dominant, it is the thinking processing over reaching certainty strength. So naturally, then it's going to be harder to translate those thoughts into words for some of us. And so the resistance might just literally be the fact that intellection doesn't naturally like the pressure of having to sit down and write. So just open the manuscript and ask, can I write the next sentence? The second thing you can try when you're stuck, and this is maybe in the not rocket science category. I know nobody likes that phrase, but here's what I mean. Sometimes you really do have to walk away. Sometimes you have to think and not write. Sometimes it is necessary that you do not try to make progress because the resistance is so significant. So let's pretend that you've tried to open the manuscript and haven't been able to produce the next sentence, or you don't know what the next sentence is, right? Sometimes you actually have to think. But the danger is that many of us, when we hit that place of resistance, we will instead click over to social media, open the phone, and start, and again, I only use social media because it's common. Email is another one, ads checking, things like that, where we're really quicking our way into not being productive. But so many of us actually need the space and time to think. We don't like that we're stuck, but sometimes we actually need the space and time to think. We need to get in a car. We need to go for a walk. We need to do something that doesn't involve staring at a screen, something that doesn't involve scrolling specifically. Like those 2 things we want to be really cautious about. The strengths that can sometimes impact this, again, I say intellection, strategic. There can be some empathy here. There can be some positivity or harmony here, but those usually have also environmental factors that are going on. But this is also one of the reasons why we encourage people not to do social media until as late in the day as they possibly can, because we just don't realize how much it affects us. And if you haven't tried this yet, especially if you've been listening to me say, don't reach for your phone, don't reach for your phone, and you're still doing it, because every time I talk about it, you get this resistance, but then you also get frustrated that you're not writing. Will you please just not reach for your phone in the morning? Please just try it. Just experiment with it. I know you're going to get resistance, but just experiment with it and see if it's better. Because if it is not better, then you don't have to keep doing it. But on the off chance for the majority of us, where it actually will be better, our lives will be better if we don't have the phone constantly hooked to our hand, if we are not constantly flipping over to the internet to scroll around on whatever dopamine addicted loop spiral we're in. But if we could just trust that sometimes that is the actual answer. Anyway, if you have been listening to me say this and you have not tried this yet, please just do this. Please just experiment. Okay, I'm done. But anyway, some of us need a lot of space and we are not getting it. So I want us to consider the fact that what we actually need to do is walk away and do something that does not involve input, that's something that does not involve research, something that does not involve the story on any level. We just need the release. And I'm just going to caveat this here as well, because some of us are very burned out and very tired, and we are not used to not being able to produce story. For some of us, this is normal, right? Like we're bred machine writers. This happens to us all the time. But for some of us, this tiredness level is unusual. And I often have to do the "are you actually okay" conversation with clients when they are not writing, because some of the resistance to writing is actually the fact that they're just burned out and they can't connect with the story. And if that's you, you need to know that it's okay that you are like that. There is nothing wrong with you because you're like that. It's just a time in life that we need to get to the other side of. And some of the we need to get to the other side are doing things like burnout recovery and mental health work and stuff like that. So I'm just going to throw that in here. Sometimes when we are stuck a lot, it is actually because we shouldn't be writing, and we should be taking care of our mental health or giving ourselves the space in order to get the story back or get back in touch with the story. Because again, some of the reason this second thing works is because you're just too busy. There's too much. And you're somehow expecting your brain, which is over full and overstimulated, to be able to produce a story that it takes space and time to produce. We need to give our brains what they want. If you haven't gone back and either watched or listened to the first 3 episodes in this series about sustainability, where we talked about the gold rush and the golden age of publishing and the vertical platforms, etc. If you haven't watched or listened to those yet, I need you to do that, because it's important to lay the foundation for why we don't have to be afraid of the fact that we may not be able to publish quickly. We need to understand that that's not the paradigm that we're living in anymore. And if we are only allowing ourselves to worry about speed, some of us are going to burn ourselves out so badly we won't have a career to come back to if we do burn out. And I know that was a lot. I know that was a heavy hit, and I apologize. But some of us really need to hear that. We need to hear that we have to do something else to alleviate the pressure, because the pressure is too much. Okay, so let's talk about the third thing. This is something we put in the author stuck list, and I have seen this work so well for certain types of authors. And I'm going to say the strategic, individualization, empathy, the strengths that commonly get stuck when there's a turning point in the manuscript where I struggle a little bit with figuring out what's happening next. In fact, this just happened to me. I had to do this exact same thing with a friend of mine who knows story structure really well. And this answer is, it's not, by the way, go talk to somebody, because not all of us can do that, but it is go look at similar stories. And when the story is in the momentum part that you are in, whatever percentage of the story you're in, go and look at what is happening in that story. This is not to take the story. It's not to steal anything. It is literally to see what the architecture is around the momentum shift. So I'll give you an example. What I see happen a lot is that people with strategic empathy or individualization, and sometimes developer relater, will get stuck where there is a momentum shift that has to happen because somebody's motivation changes or someone gets disappointed by something. So when either someone else's motivation comes into crosshair and changes the story, or someone gets or doesn't get what they want and that changes the story, there's a momentum shift. But often when you are anticipating that coming and it hasn't happened yet, you can miss the fact that that impetus has to come from somewhere. And then you need the reminder of like, oh, right, this other antagonist needs to come in, or this subplot has to get a beat here, or, oh yeah, this character needs to get something taken away from them or whatever, right? So go and look at books that are similar to what you are genre wise, what are similar to you, and see what, and again, not just any books, they have to be good books, like best-selling or what you like or something like that, right? Depending on your archetype. But what I want you to do is to look at the structure of what the emotions are. If you're empathy or individualization, are they having something taken away? Are they being given something? Are they getting disappointed? Are they getting happy? Like, what is it about that moment that is shifting momentum and making the story change? Because this is so key when you are, especially those of you who are intuitive, or if you're a discovery writer, you don't always know what the beats are called. You don't always know what the GMC is producing, but if you can see it happen, sometimes it can help to shift you in a different direction. So I'm just going to encourage you for this third thing to go and look at what someone else has done who's doing it effectively and see if there's anything that will spark your motivation or emotion or something to remind yourself what it is that needs to happen next. And of course, I always have to put the plug in to like, just talk to somebody. Okay. So the three things that you can do, the part of the reason we're doing this video series right now is because we are getting to the end of our stuck list content. And if you have not yet made yourself a stuck list, I'm tempted to say that that's the fourth thing, but I won't, because not everybody needs to do this. Some of you are natural at getting unstuck in your books and you do not need this kind of content, but some of us resist this because we don't want to admit that we do get stuck. But then when we get stuck, we need something like this to remind us, okay, here's what I need to do. And the reason I think the stuck list in particular is so important, you don't have to read or buy the book. I just want you to make the list of things to do, because when we get stuck and we're having difficulty reaching certainty about what needs to happen next, so often all we need is just an action. We need something to do to remind us, oh, right, I have to go walk away. I need to go research. I need to go for a ride. I need to take a shower. I need to take a nap, whatever it is. But we need something to remind us that this is what has worked for me. I know this advice will help if I can just do it. And then to have more than one thing to do so that you don't have to keep reaching certainty and reaching certainty and reaching certainty about what might happen next. It's literally the reason that I made the stuck list book, the reason that I made the cards at all, is because a lot of us need more certainty around being stuck. So hopefully this has helped you. I just want to thank you all so much for listening here. If you are not yet subscribed to the Dear Becca newsletter, please make sure to do that, because we answer questions every week from writers about all kinds of different things. Some of the things we talk about on the podcast, some of them we haven't yet. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you so much for being here. I will see you on the next QuitCast. Bye, everybody.